what other counties might do. It's a different kind of approach. Fairly straightforward. It doesn't take fancy electronic equipment to check vaccines at the door if a business decides to do that. We are assuming that the majority of businesses right now will likely go with the mask mandate. And they've done that before and know how to do it. But we did want to, recognizing that some businesses, gyms and restaurants, I think primarily, have already said, we want everybody to be vaccinated here. We wanted to create a carve out for them because, they're doing something very protective for their customers and their staff.
In addition, servers and bartenders and others are used to carding people for age. It's not any different than that.
Specifically then, on the vaccine cards, folks are going to need to have them handy now to go to certain places. What are you recommending in terms of how you keep them, how you carry them, and are you concerned about fakes?
Well, good, Doc. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, yes, we're concerned about fakes there, but I think that fakes are going to be the minority here. People are really hurting themselves if they do that. In terms of how to keep your card, some people have started laminating theirs, which is probably not a great idea because if at some point, not yet, but if at some point we were to move to boosters, it would be hard to record that. You can get little plastic sleeves that you can put it into to protect it, or you can just keep it in your wallet. I do recommend that if people have a phone, they take a picture of their card because then you have that easily accessible and can show that.
Would that be good enough to show at a restaurant or a business or a grocery store, show a picture of it, or will you have to bring your actual card?
So we're asking businesses that do have a vaccination requirement to have a reasonable system for enforcing that. And, to me, if they're requiring a picture of somebody's vaccine card, that seems like a reasonable system. They could just check the card itself as well.
And I'm sure that everybody on this call today has a driver's license, and we carry that with us every day with no problem.
Well, these are paper and they're not, they can disintegrate more easily. They're also larger. They don't fit in some wallets, which is why people are wondering how to do it. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Next up, we'll move to Marcus Espinoza from Fox 29. Marcus, you should be able to unmute now.
All right. Hey, guys, I appreciate the time. Two questions here. The obvious rebuttal will be, if you're vaccinated, why is that not good enough? If you can always show proof of your vaccination status to go into a business and not have to wear a mask, did that get ruined because of the honor system that was taken advantage of previously, or why is that not an option for folks?
Doc, you want to tackle that?
Sure. Yeah, it's just too challenging for people. I think the honor system clearly hasn't worked. And for a business to keep, take, for example, a gym. You check at the door, this one's vaccinated, this one's not. They have a mask on if they're not vaccinated when they walk in. Are you really going to remember in that gym or in a retail store or some other indoor environment which one showed you a vaccine card when they came in? You're probably not. And it's just very difficult then for the businesses to actually enforce it. It would be very difficult for an inspector who is responding to a complaint to have to go to each person and ask their status. And for people coming in who want the reassurance that they're coming into a space where they understand what's going on, I think all or nothing is really what's going to work for them at this point. Just given the number of cases and so on.
And then feedback I'm getting right now, which is pretty quick. People are processing this announcement. Some are like, finally, some are like, oh, here we go again. Do you see a lockdown in the impending future? Is that something folks should be worried or aware of?
Not if everybody acts like a mature adult and does what they're supposed to do. We don't anticipate a lockdown. We didn't anticipate doing this a couple months in July, June and July. We didn't expect to be doing this. But you can see the level of immaturity around the country, even from governors and legislatures. This is where we are. Thank God this is not World War II, because the level of effort and maturity that was shown in World War II is not being shown here, and we'd be speaking German at this point. So, people just have to grow up and do what they're supposed to do. It's not difficult because it's free, it's accessible, and you can get a vaccine. This is not a big lift, but it seems that people want to make it so. Doctor, you want to talk about the technical side of that?
I mean, the thing I would add is we really desperately need everybody in the city to get vaccinated who is able to get vaccinated. But the reason we're talking about double masking is we know there's still some people who are unvaccinated. And until or unless they are fully vaccinated, they need to be double masking, because we are continuing to see spread from people who had no intention of giving this to, you know, to their grandmother or their mother or their child. And, you know, the double masking is another tool. And I want to make sure everybody has the tools they need to protect themselves.
And then real quick, so this means for schools, Philly schools, everybody will have to wear masks as well, correct? And then Mayor, your emotion is very clear and transparent. Are you upset and ticked off that you have to be here in this first place to announce this? Is this?
No, I'm not upset with being here with you. I'm upset that people just can't act in the way they're supposed to act and do what's good for everybody. And we're not as bad. Look, we're not as bad here because obviously our situation's not as bad as other states and other states. But it's just, this amazes me that this is the most simple thing to do to keep yourself safe and your family safe and your community safe, and people still refuse to do it and are being encouraged not to do it by people who are supposed to be elected officials and responsible people. It's a shame. So
Thank you.
sorry for
Thank you
my attitude, but it's really annoying.
No, I get it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcus. Next, we will move to Mitch Block